Okay, so Brent, I know you your values. When it comes to making decisions, and I know you've got a servant heart, and you're a guy that loves your Catholic faith like I do. How do these things play in when you might be looking at leaders of the existing businesses that will still be there, decision makers and relationship builders that may not have that same vision, right? I mean, I say vision. They may have the same values as you do, right? They maybe don't have the same faith, or they don't have any faith, right? And so, and in some cases, I find out for me that doesn't always matter. They still have great core values without any faith, right? But when they do have a similar strength in God, I feel like the alignment's a little faster, a little easier, because you're speaking kind of similar language. What do you find in there, and how do you vet that, or do you?
Yeah, I think first and foremost, once you get a firm with 200 people, you got to be diverse and inclusive.
Diversity, yes.
But you don't have to negotiate on core values. That is not negotiable. And you don't have to, so there's values, but there's also vision. I mean, I've got some good friends in our business who I wouldn't want to be in business with because their vision is different. Like we put a strong value on growth because we think if you're not growing, you're dying on the vine. There's other great people that might be the same religion or otherwise, but they don't value growth. It's a lifestyle business. We don't want to be in business with them, right? So I think the key thing is having common values, and as examples, ours is excellent. We want to be A players in what we do. Growth is important. So that's not negotiable. Integrity, we're going to be honest and put our clients' interests first. We're going to be authentic, right? Those are examples of core values that, we don't negotiate on. I mean, when we're talking with potential partners, we say, these are our 5. You either have to agree 100%, not like, well, I like those 4, but I'm not sure about that. No, then we're done, right? Right. And then the vision. Okay, we've got to have a common vision of success, and how we're going to arrive there, how we're going to achieve that. Because, if we're not aligned, then it's going to be painful. You might be a great person. I might be a great person. We may share religion or not, but it's going to be painful, And so I think that's what's most important is not negotiating on common values, common vision, and frankly common philosophy as well. I mean, if I'm not going to try to change a person's philosophy on life,
Sure. So tell me about this then. So I heard excellence, growth, integrity, authenticity. Is there one more? Is that 4 out of the 5?
Yeah, those are the big 4.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And I mean, you actually fire by that? I mean, if you have people that just aren't living 1 or 2 of those core values, you coach them. What do you do when they don't turn around, right? Do you actually fire by your core values also?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, that's the one thing that's not negotiable. I mean, at the end of the day, you can't. What I've learned is you can't. You can take smart, hardworking people that share values, that share a vision, that are committed, and teach them technical aspects of the business.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't take people that don't have integrity and make them have integrity. You can't take people that don't want to grow and make them grow. You can't take disrespectful people who lack humility and give them humility. You can't take people that are comfortable to be a C player and make them an A player. Our 5th, value is lifetime learning. Listen, all we like in our business, all we got is what's between our ears. We got this like computer I'm talking to in my desk, but outside of that, we've got what's between our ears. So you can't take somebody who's not committed to learning and expect that they're going to be a good advisor and keep up on top of the latest tax and investment matters. So yeah, I mean, in our world, it's there's there's the 5 values: integrity, excellence, growth, respect, and lifetime learning. And you start with that. If you got that, great. Okay, now do we share a vision? Great. Okay. And if we do then, do we share a philosophy? Great. If you have that, then this still doesn't mean the person's going to be successful in the organization. But that's the stuff that's priceless.
Yep, absolutely.
You can't take somebody with a giant ego and make them respectful.
Absolutely. Robbie, what else you got for my buddy here, man? He's a wealth of information. I think we got to get him on another time later on, because I got so much more I can dig into my buddy here, but we only got like 10, 12 more minutes left, and I want to make sure that we get more out of him that you want, Robbie. What else are you thinking?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I found it interesting that there's quite a bit of overlap there between the Ray-Ban Group's culture and values aligned with Brent's here too. But I think one area that I'm particularly interested in, just obviously coming from LinkedIn and constantly being involved in the HR landscape, is how you apply the culture and values in the hiring and onboarding process. Is that the basis for which you guys score potential new hires, or what does that look like for you guys?
Yeah. So, again, first and foremost, we do different testing mechanisms to make sure that there's competencies. I think we've got a really robust interview process, with multiple levels, multiple interviews. For example, on the executive team, we've kind of evolved our executive team in the last couple of years. And every person I brought on the executive team, you got to come and spend 24 hours with me one-on-one at the lake. We got to share wine. We got to spend time, because like somebody can, in the course of an hour interview, they can be on their best behavior. But you put them out, in a casual situation with a bottle of wine at the lake, you get to learn a lot more about them. It's harder to fake it for 24 hours.
Right.
It's harder to fake it when you have multiple people doing interviews, in different constructs, some at the office, some, over lunch, some at the lake, right? Over a bottle of wine. So I think it's, at the end of the day, yeah, we've got tests. Yes, we've got, protocols. We've got, certain boxes we're wanting to check. But a lot of it comes down to, if you got a good team that's aligned around values and culture, it's trusting them to make sure that we, only pick people that are aligned and, that are going to be successful, in our organization. Which means there's people that maybe have great resumes and great experiences that aren't going to be a good fit.
Right. Yeah, I think I love that you bring them up to the lake and spend a day with them. I think that's hard to find a better test than that. I think of it similar to like the waiter or waitress test during a lunch, basically just seeing how they treat someone in a position like that and making sure that they do have the right morals and value system. But I think kind of continuing along that line, then I'm curious when it comes to identifying whether you want to make a new hire or invest in your current staff through continuous education. What sort of criteria do you look for in making that decision one way or another, and how do you ultimately implement that?
Well, I mean, we feel it's important to glue our team, grow our own, right? And so we're big advocates. As I said, our fifth value is lifetime learning. So we're big advocates for getting, the professional designations to learn as much as possible. Big budget item is education. And so we not only expect, but we require, a lot of ongoing education. Now, having said that, as you grow larger, in some cases, it's hard to purely grow your own. There's certain positions and certain times where you need somebody sooner than you can grow them into a role. And that's really where we've gone to the outside. And so we try to find a balance between, developing our own team members over time, but also, getting, experienced, seasoned professionals who are aligned with our values, but maybe bring other experience from other employers. it's that way. It's not just merely homegrown. I think if you merely homegrown, you probably don't get some of the spices you need. Yeah, the soup might still taste good, but it's not going to taste best in class. The flip side is if you strictly go outside, you're going to get a hodgepodge of people that maybe really don't, that don't have. It's going to be hard to find that many people that are truly aligned from a cultural perspective. So I think finding that balance of going outside to bring unique experience and new spices, but growing and developing your own so that you can control the culture and and encourage personal development, encourage great opportunities for those people that have been your long-term team. I think that's critical.
Hey, Brad, a few things I got. Number one, what's your favorite pie? All right. I'll go answer that question. What's your favorite pie, Brad? We're talking about pies a lot here, man. Like, I'm an apple pie guy. How about you?
Oh, I'd say cherry pie, although any pie will do.
All right. Next,
kidney pie. I'll probably pass on the kidney pie, but
okay. Next, what's your favorite quote? What's a quote that you go by, live by, or that you you believe in and think about? One or two quotes maybe, and then a favorite book that you really appreciate, that you've read and would read over and over again, that you got a lot out of.
Yeah, I mean, on the quote side, I got to go with Ronnie Reagan, and essentially, you can accomplish anything you want as long as you don't care who gets credit for it. A lot of wisdom there. You look at all he got done through other people. And that was something I didn't appreciate early in life, because I carried the weight of the world on my shoulders. But you can accomplish much more and have a much better life if you rely on others to accomplish a big vision.
That's awesome. Yeah, if you don't care about getting the credit, man, it's amazing what you can do, right?
Yeah. I think on the book side, you mentioned it earlier, Simon Sinek. Start with why. I think that's so critical, to get clear around what success is and why that's success, and then you build into the how and what. And I think that applies whether I'm dealing with an individual client and helping them discern what their why is, and then helping solve for that, or whether we're working on corporate strategic goals for the year, for the next 3 years.
Absolutely. I love it. Robbie, any other closing questions you got for my buddy here?
Just one last one, and then I think we have the takeaways. So the last question I have is, you're mentioning that you use the oil rig analogy between a big rig and a small rig and being able to maximize the value for your clients. But on the flip side of that, I guess I'm curious to what extent you guys focus on the competitors within the space to understand what their differentiators are versus just maximizing your strengths, in how you balance the two of those when it comes to growing the company.
So within our industry, it's been very much a cottage industry, like literally thousands of small advisors. Now, depending on how you rank advisors, you can rank them on assets under management, number of clients, number of team, number of revenue, number of accounts. There's lots of different metrics. Some of them are published. Some of them we can only kind of guesstimate. Savant is probably, out of thousands, we're in the top 50 for sure, and most likely in the top 20. And so I will say, historically, because it's been such a cottage industry, we've always been a pretty open book, pretty much, share and share alike and learn from each other. The philosophy has always been, hey, there's plenty of fish out there. There's enough fish for everybody. So we've been pretty much open the kimono. I've founded a couple significant industry groups that we've shared with a lot over the years. Now that may be changing a little bit, because there is a lot of consolidation going on. There's private equity getting into our space, and so we are seeing that emergence of mega firms, very large firms, and increasingly they're becoming the competitors. Where it used to be the banks and the big brokerages were our competitors, increasingly, other advisory firms and large advisory firms are probably becoming competitors. So I do see, yes, we've really, I'd say Savant has been, you talked about mentorship before. I've had a lot of mentors in my study groups, other people in our business, and I've learned a ton from them. I do see a trend, though, where there may be less sharing within the industry as we go forward, just because, maybe some of the more successful firms that, you're increasingly bumping into them as we're becoming larger ourselves.
So, Robbie, what's your takeaways, dude? I got a few here, but give us your takeaways, man. You're much more attentive than I am in grabbing these.
No worries. It actually ended up being a pretty good segue because my first one was in relation to his cherry pie analogy. So my first takeaway was that it's important to create enough value that the outcome is that all parties involved eventually win. And that's obviously you individually, the company, as well as your client. And at the end of the day, you want to maximize what that output is. And I love the cherry pie analogy. Second one here is that when it comes to founding a new team, whether that's internally in an existing new org that you're looking to grow or just a brand new company, it's important to have complementary skill sets amongst that leadership team that's involved. And you had mentioned, Brent, that was the case early on for you, and then even more importantly when you added the third leg to the chair. And I do think that there's a lot of value to be had in that. And eventually, towards the end of the conversation, you brought up diversity and inclusion. And I think it transcends all the way down into that as well. The third here is that, in my opinion, the best way for you to ultimately retain clients, as you mentioned, is to not just prescribe the right medication the first time around, but to iterate and improve upon that over time, and making sure that it's ultimately aligned with what your client's looking for. And it actually transitions right into the next point, which is that in order to have the right prescription, it's important to understand what the end goal is and always reverse engineer backwards. And you want to make sure that ultimately you're solving, whether it's a challenge or in this case, maximizing the wealth of an individual, what their goals are, and then just aligning on that, and it'll lead to a much more consistent relationship and ultimately a positive relationship. And my next point here is actually back towards the very beginning of the conversation, but you don't always need to know the answer. You just need to be confident and know how to find the answer. And I think that goes a really long way to showing how resourceful you ultimately can be. And that's what your clients are looking for, is honesty and transparency. And I almost think that they respect that more than you trying to come up with an answer on the spot that maybe you're just pulling out of left field from somewhere. And my last point here is that I love the growth mindset being your fifth pillar on your business here. I absolutely believe that. At the end of the day, what you said is that we have what's between our ears to live off of, and we need to make sure that we're just constantly absorbing knowledge like a sponge.
I love it. I love it. Robbie, hold on 1 second there. Hold on. Stop. Okay, hey, sorry about that. I had somebody come to my door here. But I got to tell you, this is an awesome rags to riches story. And man, if I'm a young person listening to this, there's so much you can get out of it. It's incredible. Here's a guy started $10 an hour, and $10 an hour in the early 90s, still not big money back then. Even back then, that was not a lot. Okay, so to start at $10 an hour out of college and in a job, it took a little risk, right? To where Brent is today, top 1% in his industry. You know, we love it. We love focusing on top 1% stories, Brent, because that gives us a story always that has great differentiation, great industry leadership, and amazing lessons to learn. And you're an example, man, of everything I love in leadership: humility, family, faith. You got it all, brother, and I'm proud to be your friend. But I'll tell you what, your story is one that so many can learn from. And again, we want to get you back on, because an hour, whatever this is not long enough to squeeze enough out of my buddy's head. I get more out of you anyway on the pier. I want this stuff out, out in the open. So, hey, I really appreciate you, brother, and everything you're about. And you and Sharon are amazing, raise an amazing family, and you're great friends of ours, Cheryl and I, and really appreciate your friendship, brother. And thanks for being on today.
Yeah, no, enjoyed it. Appreciate the opportunity, and I'm looking forward to hanging on the pier with you this summer.
I'll be there, brother.
We might be 6 feet apart, but it's a big pier.
Baloney. That's a bunch of crap. Outside, the odds of getting it are almost zero. I was on the phone with scientists and health scientists for a couple times now. It's a group of people that are trying to help build the rules of new engagement in business that I'm part of, and these health scientists are saying basically the odds are almost zero that you can catch it outside. I won't do any more open mouth kissing with you, at least until this thing all goes by. But I want a hug out of my buddy every time I see you. So all right. Baloney on the 6 foot. I'm
good with that.
All right, man. Thanks for being here. I really appreciate coming on our podcast. Love it, man. So thanks for everything. And until next time, Ditch Digger CEO. We'll see you.